Hi guys, welcome back. I have for you today what could be a dull and boring matchup, but at the same time I'm really interested to see what happens. So we've got the original Motorola Moto G versus the second edition Motorola Moto G of 2014. Why might it be dull and boring? Because the hardware is very, very similar. In fact, parts of it are exactly the same. So they both run on the Snapdragon 400 chipset. They both have the quad-core 1.2 GHz Cortex-A7, and they both have the Adreno 305 GPU. The newer Moto G has the larger 5-inch screen against the 4.5-inch, but they're both 1280 by 720. Not that it matters for these tests, but they both have the 2070 mAh battery. And they both have the assisted GPS GLONASS GPS chip, so it might be. I mean, the big difference for me that of what I've seen so far is the camera in the 2014 version is a lot better. But obviously, again, that's not going to come into play in the tests that we do here on my head-to-head. I know some of you don't like them, but the Angry Birds opening test, the original Moto G looks like it's going to take this one. Yeah. Once more. The original Moto G just slightly ahead. Now, yep, I know you're not that bothered waiting a fraction of a second longer for your app, but it's just what that represents within the processing power. We get a bit more of a scientific test here. So there we go, we see... Oh, actually, so this says ARM Qualcomm. That's interesting. That's not what I've got on the spec sheet. And this is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 400. I mean, according to this, there's a few megabytes more memory in the original. There are two different models of the Motorola. There's a XT, I think it's 1063, which is it's not dual SIM. This one is dual SIM. So maybe that's the difference. While the benchmarks are in, I'll see if I can look up the different specs, and then I'll come back for the results. Sure enough, there we have it. Almost identical scores. So it does both their ARM version 7. So, as I say, very similar because they're very similarly spec'd devices. Outside now for the GPS test. You'll see I'm starting them both from, they've both got fixes. Reset them both and come out. Internal GPS state cleared. Both in at the same time. So, very similar, very, and the original gets the lock. I'm not sure what's happened to the second gen, it seems to have almost stalled. There we go, the second gen gets the lock, so clearly the original gets the win there. I'm going to do a quick speaker test. Now to me the original sounds just slightly louder. I've not done my official sort of sound test on the second gen just yet, but the first one for me has got the record still for the loudest speaker. Let's try it on.
Braves, I'm Stephen Miranda. On Wednesday, September 10th, Stephen Miranda. On Wednesday, September 10th, 2014. Happy birthday to me! 2014. Happy birthday to me!
Yeah, I would say the volume is definitely louder on the original, but I think the sound is a bit more rounded. There's a little bit more bass to it. That's quite tinny. That's a bit more rounded. So take your choice on which you prefer there, really. Time for the Chrome browser test. I'm going to clear data on both of them, which is very quick because I don't think I've really browsed the web on either of them just yet. Into my usual sites. Just edged, but so close I'm not sure I would want to call it one way or the other. Edged the second gen there. Go to the actual, maybe tap that slightly before, and it does load slightly before. They're both still loading though. Finished. Finished. They're both on the same Wi-Fi connection, I would point out. I was interested in the original. See, I think the new is a little smoother. I don't know, that's not perfect. I mean, they are, got to remember these are both budget phones. The new second gen can be bought for $140, I've seen. Now, I forget where it was. I saw it on Hot UK Deals though, so if you go there, there should be the link. I paid $155, including postage. So there's, you can find it £50 cheaper already. Just edged by the second gen. Poor. Tough call, tough call. So actually, I think those results were quite interesting in that performance-wise, there's very little between these two devices. You could argue there's a couple of ways the original Moto G is better, but then performance never was the issue with the original Moto G. Really, it was the camera, and you could argue the screen size. If you wanted a bigger screen, you didn't have any options. Now you do. The difference of these two devices, really, that I'm noticing so far, is the camera. That was the big problem with the original Moto G. The camera was very poor. But they've addressed that with the second generation. As you can see, I'll show you a couple of side-by-side photos. I just think that the detail, the colour, and if we look at the video as well, you can clearly see the second generation has made some vast improvements. So if you already own the original Moto G, the only reason to upgrade would be if you really want that better camera. If not, or the screen, sorry, the better camera or the bigger screen. If not, stick with your original Moto G. If you do want those improvements, at only £140, and I'm sure that price will come down over the next few months, the second gen, very good purchase. Someone's sending me messages. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.